Hi guys, welcome back to another fun day of math. Today we are doing adding and subtracting rational expressions. So last time we did multiplying, dividing. Today we are doing adding, subtracting. And so a little bit more difficult, but kind of similar to the same idea. So again, in your notebook, the title, make sure you get today's date and the title of the notes, which is adding and subtracting rational expressions. Once you have that in, we are doing this yellow foldable today in the packet. Could be on page 4, maybe it's a different page if you have a different packet, but it's this yellow one that has adding and subtracting on it. And then you're going to fold it the same way that you did last time. So you're going to fold it in half, hot dog style, and then cut it so that you have adding on one side and subtracting on the other. Okay, and then this is what it should look like, something like this. And so what we're going to do is we are going to fill this in. So on the adding side, again, we're going to write down the steps, and then we're going to do the problem as we write down the steps. Let's see. Might have to zoom out just a little bit. There we go. Let's try this. Let's see if I can write small enough to make this happen. Okay, so our first step, which was the same with multiplying, dividing, is to factor everything. Okay, so factor everything. All right, so the top here, I just have a 6 that is not factorable. Actually, and I'm gonna, hopefully you guys are writing small enough. I'm gonna try to do it over here just to save space, okay? So I have 6 on top. Then I have x squared minus 4. This is a perfect square, so this factors to x plus 2, x minus 2. Okay, then I'm adding. 2 does not factor, so it's going to stay on the top. And then x squared minus 5x plus 6. So I want two numbers that multiply to positive 6 and add to negative 5. And so that's going to give me x minus 3, x plus 2. So that's my first step, is I want to factor everything. Okay, and I am going to actually zoom back in here because I'm not really able to write small enough to make it work. Okay, so there we go. Step 2. Step 2 is to find a common denominator. So when we are adding or subtracting fractions, we have to have a common denominator. If we don't, we're not able to add them. Okay, so this is the difference between adding, subtracting, and multiplying, dividing. Okay, multiplying and dividing, I didn't need a common denominator. Adding, subtracting, I do. So here, the factored form I had here was 6. Then I had x minus 2, x plus 2, and then plus 2. And then on the bottom here, I had x minus 3, x minus 2. Okay, so when we're finding a common denominator, a couple things have to happen. One, I'm only allowed to add things to my fractions. I'm not allowed to take anything away. So when I look here, I notice that I have an x minus 2 in both. That's good, okay? That's a good sign. But over here, I have an x plus 2, and over here I don't. So I'm going to have to add an x plus 2 onto this side. And if I add it to the top, I also have to add it to the bottom, okay? Or other way around. If I add it to the bottom, I also have to add it to the top, okay? So now I have an x plus 2 in both. And that's good. And then over here on the right, I have an x minus 3, but I don't have one over here. So again, I'm going to have to multiply in an x minus 3, both to the top and the bottom. So now I have an x minus 3 in both. So now I have a common denominator, right? X minus 3 is in both, x minus 2 is in both, x plus 2 is in both. So when I go back, now my third step is to simplify that. And what that looks like, I am not going to actually distribute out anything on the bottom. So on the bottom, I'm just going to leave it as x minus 3, x minus 2, x plus 2. Now on the top, I can go ahead and distribute. So I get 6x minus 18 because I distributed the 6 to both the x and the negative 3. Okay, and then for my second fraction, I'm going to have the same thing. I have an x minus 3. I like to write them in the same order as each other so I can clearly see that there's a common denominator, right? So I have the x minus 3's, then the x minus 2's, then the x plus 2's. So I can clearly see. And then I can distribute this too. So that gives me 2x plus 4. Okay. Once I have a common denominator, so now I have a common denominator, I can move on to my step 4, which is just to add. And when I add fractions, the bottom stays the same, right? So I have x minus 3, x minus 2, x plus 2, so that just becomes the denominator. And then I'm going to add the top, so 6x minus 18 plus 2x plus 4. Which then I can simplify, right? So 6x plus 2x is 8x. Negative 18 plus 4 is negative 14. And again, that is still over x minus 3, x minus 2, x plus 2. So I'm going to have to erase this to scroll down. Or here, I'll just write it over to the right, but just know that you want to write it down here, right? Step 5. Okay, but step 5 says, so again, on your paper, instead of writing it over here on the right, you just want to write it underneath this. So step 5 says factor again. If possible. If it's not possible, that's okay. Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. And see if anything cancels. Anything cancels. So in this case, I can factor the top, right? 2 goes into both of those, so I can take out a 2, and I'm left with 4x minus 7 on the top. And then on the bottom, I still have x minus 3, x minus 2, x plus 2. So what I was looking for was maybe this 4x minus 7 could cancel with one of these, but in this case it can't. So that's fine. So that's my final answer. And then we just can't forget to always include what values x is not allowed to equal. So here, I cannot have 3 because if I plug in 3, I'll get 0. I also cannot have 2 because if I plug in 2 here, I will get 0. And I cannot have negative 2 because if I plug in negative 2, I will get 0. Okay, and there is my answer. So kind of similar to multiplying, dividing, except you have to get that common denominator, and that's really kind of the tricky part here is getting that common denominator. Let's look at example 2, which is all about subtracting. Ooh, that's a bright color. Okay, first step, same thing. Factor everything. Okay, factor anything and everything that you can. So in this case, 4 doesn't factor. X squared minus 9 factors to x plus 3, x minus 3. Minus 3 doesn't factor. And x squared plus 6x plus 9 factors to x plus 3 and x plus 3. So there's step 1, factored everything. Step 2 is that I need to get a common denominator. So again, similar to what I said with multiplying, dividing, you don't always have to write like this over and over and over and over. But we are, in this case, because for notes, it's helpful to see each step very clearly written out, okay? But like normally I would probably combine step 1 and 2 here, so I didn't have to write it twice. Okay, so here is my factored form. And I'm looking for a common denominator. So I see an x plus 3 in both. That's good, right? Here I see an x minus 3, and here I don't. So I'm going to have to multiply in an x minus 3, or wow, I said x minus 3 and I wrote x plus 3. I'm so sorry. We're going to have to add in an x minus 3 to both the top and the bottom, right? So now that's common in both. And then on the right here, I have another x plus 3 that I don't have over here. So I am also going to have to multiply in another x plus 3. I'm supposed to have 2 of those, and I only have 1. Okay? So what that does is that allows me to figure out what that common denominator is. Okay, so now I can go ahead and simplify. So on the bottom, I'm going to have those x plus 3's, and I have 2 of them. So x plus 3, x plus 3, x minus 3. And then on the top, don't forget I can distribute. So 4 times x is 4x. 4 times 3 is 12. And then this is minus. And again, I like to do the bottom first just because I already know what's supposed to be there. I don't have to like think about anything. I've already found my common denominator. So there's the bottom. And then the top I can distribute. So I have 3x minus 9. Okay. Step 4 here, and this is where it's a little bit different, is that I need to subtract. And I'm going to make a very big point of this. We have to distribute the negative. Because we are subtracting, we distribute the negative, right? We distribute the negative that's right here in the middle, the minus sign. So this becomes, actually let's write the bottom. Right, I have x plus 3, x plus 3, x minus 3. So I have 4x plus 12. Now when I minus, I have to put that second term in parentheses. 3x minus 9. I have to put it in parentheses because I'm going to end up distributing, right? So it becomes 4x plus 12 minus 3x plus 9. You see that? So I distributed the minus sign, and then the bottom's still the same. So you just have to be very careful about whatever your second fraction is that you are distributing this negative in. Okay, so I distributed this negative. So if I simplify this again, 4x minus 3x is just x. 12 plus 9 is 21. So I have x plus 21 over this whole thing, which is x plus 3, x plus 3, x minus 3. Okay. And then the last step, step 5, again, you would write it over here underneath step 4, but I just don't have room. So in this case, right, I cannot factor again. X plus 21 does not factor. So that just means that that's my final answer. So x plus 21 all over Now, and you can write it x plus 3, x plus 3, x minus 3, or you can write it x plus 3 squared, since we have 2 of them. X minus 3, that's another option as well. Either one of these two would be okay. And then don't forget to include the values that x is not allowed to equal. So here x cannot be negative 3, because that would give you 0. And x cannot be positive 3, because that would get you 0. And there is my answer. So again, you don't have to do the x plus 3 squared. You can write it out twice. It's just your choice. Okay, so I know that was kind of fast. If you have any questions or you get stuck on this or you need anything at all, just make sure that you reach out to me. Let me know. We can go over whatever we need to go over. I can help you in any way. But you just have to make sure that you're reaching out and letting me know that you need help. Good luck with this. You guys have some practice. Again, let me know if you need help, and I'll see you later.